Hello hobbies and welcome to this special edition of Getting on the Tabletop. But before we talk about the motto, if you're using headphones right now, I would turn down the volume. You have been warned because WOG! It's Orktober! Yes, hobbyists, it's Orktober, the month where we not only celebrate spookiness with October and Halloween, but we celebrate all things orc. So, for Orktober, I'm painting up 3 different orcs for the month of October. And for our first orc, we're gonna be painting up a boy. A standard boy, but a special boy. This Ork Boy. So anyways, he is sub-assembled in 3 pieces. Here is the body, and here is his 2 arms, his Slugga and his Choppa. And of course, one more thing, I do have a nice base for him. This is not a traditional Games Workshop orc. This is actually from 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐎𝐾 Shop, where they produce 3D printable custom orcs. So this is a 3D printed orc. I will put right now actually what this orc is. I think it's a Boozer Shock Trooper -I-STL file. Once again, there will be a text at the bottom of the screen exactly what this is. I will also put a link down in the description below to 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐎𝐾 Shop if you yourself are interested in getting some of these custom orcs yourself or want to see the entirety of all the 3D printable orcs they have, because the Boozer line has quite a lot of orcs. But anyways, what intrigued me about this Shock Trooper orc, which is basically your standard Ork Boy, which comes with a Slugga Choppa, or in this case a Slugga drill, but the drill is a Choppa, is the fact is that it looks a lot like a Big Daddy from BioShock. And personally for me, I love BioShock. It is probably one of the greatest trilogy games to be played on the PlayStation. If you yourself have not played BioShock 1, 2, or even Infinite, I highly recommend checking them out. They are really good stories, really good games. So this orc really looked like a Big Daddy from BioShock. So I said, you know what, that would be really cool for Orktober. I also have a boy with a Shoota, and we are also going to paint up a Noob. But I thought, first let's paint up the basic boy, the Slugga Choppa boy. So without further ado, let's begin the painting process. The first thing we are going to do is paint up all of the metal across our boy using gunmetal from Army Painter. Now that we have blocked in all the metal on our Ork Boy, we are going to paint in his skin using green skin from Army Painter. So with the orc flesh completed, our final base color we need to complete for our boy is painting in all the straps using dirt spatter from Army Painter. Now that the dirt spatter has covered the straps and the stitching on our Ork Boy, we're going to use an overall wash of strong tone mixed 1:1 with quick shade wash mixing medium, both from Army Painter. So I want to push the tarnished look of our Ork Boyz metal one step further by once again using strong tone, but straight strong tone this time over only the metal on our Ork Boy. So with the strong tone wash dried over our Ork Boy, we're now going to highlight him by glazing goblin green over our Ork's skin. So with the goblin green having brought back some color to our Ork's flesh, we're going to use Slaughter Red speed paint from Army Painter in the lenses of our Ork Boy's helmet. With the Slaughter Red completed, we're now going to use Zealot Yellow speed paint from Army Painter to paint in the porthole at the bottom of our boy's helmet. With the porthole completed, we're now going to start highlighting up all of the straps and the stitches with Fur Brown from Army Painter. So the final highlight we have to do for our Ork Boy is highlight all the metal, and we will be using Shining Silver from Army Painter to do so. So with our Ork Boy completed, we can now move on to the arms. So with the body completed, it is time to move on to the first arm, that being the Choppa arm. And we're gonna start out by using, once more, gunmetal from Army Painter to paint it all of the metal of our Choppa. So after the completion of the metal of the Choppa, we're going to use green skin from Army Painter to paint in the arm's flesh. With the orc flesh of our arm completed, we are once more going to do an overall wash of strong tone mix 1:1 with quick shade wash mixing medium. And after that has dried over the metal of the Choppa, we will then go back over it once more with straight strong tone. So with the shades dried on our Ork Boy's arm, we are once more going to use Goblin Green glazed over the flesh to brighten it back up. With our boy's arm now highlighted up, we're going to once more use Shining Silver to highlight up the Choppa itself. So that is our boy's Choppa arm. Now on to the Slugga arm. The first base color we're going to do for the Slugga arm is all the metal once more in gunmetal from Army Painter. With the gunmetal completed, we'll now be using Retributor armor from Citadel to paint in the bullets. With the gold completed on our bullets, we're now going to use pure red from Army Painter to paint in the gun casing of the Slugga. With the red completed, our last base color we need to complete is using green skin to paint in the skin. So with all the base colors completed, it is time to wash the model. First, doing the overall wash with strong tone mixed 1:1 with a quick shade wash mixing medium. And then once that has dried, using straight strong tone over the metal and bullets. With our washes dried, we're now going to once more glaze Goblin Green over the Ork skin. With the flesh highlighted, we're going to use Wild Rider Red to highlight up the gun. The next highlight we're going to complete is using a Kirk armor gold from Citadel to highlight up the bullets. A final highlight to complete is using shining silver over the metal. With the Slugga arm completed, all we have to do is the base. Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to Mini Wargaming Forge for the base. I will leave a link down in the description below where you can go and see all the STL files and what they can print for you, as well as a direct link to the base set I bought myself. So with that said, we're going to use Crystal Blue from Army Painter to paint in the water. With our water completed, we're now going to glue on our Ork Boy. With our boy glued down, we are going to apply some Diorama FX Brown Earth over the base. With the brown earth dry, we're going to gently dry brush Tyrant Skull from Citadel over it. With the dry brushing complete, we're going to add some greenery to the base by first using Battlefield Grass from Army Painter, then applying some Woodland Tuft bases from Army Painter. With the greenery completed, we're going to complete the river by first starting with Diorama FX Water Texture. After the first water texture layer has dried, I'm going to apply a second layer of water texture, followed by a little sprinkling of grass green into the water. With our second layer cured, the last thing we're going to do for the water is using Diorama FX from Vallejo Transparent Water Effect. And with the transparent water having cured, the final thing we need to do is use matte black from Arm & Painter to paint in the rim. Then we can varnish this boy, and he is ready for the tabletop. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this special edition of Getting on the Tabletop. Since I started the painting videos, I really have wanted to celebrate Orktober more than just battle reports where I roll dice and scream WOG at it, and praying and hoping that my orc dice hit. I've always wanted to paint up orcs in honor of Orktober, and here we are painting up a 3D printed orc. Now, I was on the fence of what orcs to actually paint. Should I paint 3D printed orcs? Should I paint Games Workshop orcs? And I would like to thank Aspect Tactics for a video where he went through some proxy armies you could use for 40k armies. He showed 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺𝐵𝑔𝐼 Shop off, so I went there over Gen Con on my phone, and I was just blown away by the amount of orcs. I landed on these orcs that look like Bioshock Big Daddies. By the way, Bioshock is an amazing game, so if you've never played Bioshock 1, 2, or Infinite, highly recommend playing those. I love them. I played all three. Definitely worth it. I think there's, even on the PlayStation, there's a collection where you can get all three games together. So highly recommend it if you've never touched the Bioshock games before. Highly recommend it. But yeah, this orc was just a lot of fun to paint up, and it was very different than how I paint up. For instance, the glazing over with Goblin Green. I really don't do that if I'm doing anything like that. Maybe I might just dry brush. Now, you can dry brush the orc skin if you feel more comfortable than glazing over it. But I felt I wanted to give this glazing effect, or this picking out the muscles and stuff like that and lightening it up, or layering as it's also called, a try. And honestly, I did pretty well for my first attempt at it. The orc looks really, really good. And I have been playing around a little bit with like the water effects from Vallejo, the still water and the transparent water, on like doing those for like my tile bases recently as I try to rebuild up my tile scheme. And this came out pretty well. While I didn't get some learning effects of kind of maybe putting the grass and the tufts on after doing all the water, and maybe putting the orc on after the water, I think it still came out really well for my first shot at doing this type of base. As a reminder, I'll leave links down in the description below for 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺 Mech Shop, for the exact Ork Boy STL files I bought, if you yourself want to get your hands on them. Now, if you don't have a 3D printer to print these, do not worry. 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺 Mech Shop will print them and send them to you. Understand it will take 4 to 6 weeks on their webpage. So you can buy physical models from 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺. So if you yourself do not have a 3D printer, like me, but I freelanced out my 3D printing to a couple of freelance Fiverr artist to print these for me, so I didn't order them from 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺. I actually had someone on Fiverr print them for me and ship them to me. But either way, if you don't have a 3D printer, no worries, you can order them from 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺, or of course you can go to Fiverr as well. I will also leave a link down in the description below to the Fiverr artist I used to print these models. He did a really good job at printing the 3 sets of models I sent to him, that being the boys with the Slugga Choppas, the boys with Shootas, and some knobs. And then finally, I'll also leave a link down in the description to Mini Wargaming Forge and to the exact STL file bases I bought. Now, Mini Wargaming Forge is the exact same way as 𝐑𝐿𝐴𝐺 Mech Shop. You can buy the physical models bases from them. They will print them and send them to you. If you're a Silver Vault member, you do get actually a discount code there. I highly recommend becoming a Silver Vault member anyways to Mini Wargaming. They do great content, and that Silver Vault membership gets you a lot of discount codes to a lot of really good companies and can save you some money. Trust me, I've used them. But yeah, I'll leave links down in the description to all of those people. But with that, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the Ork scheme. What'd you think about it? What could I improve on it for future Orks and all of that? As well as what Orks should I paint up from 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾? Which Orks would you like me to buy and paint up and check out? I do have some plans to continue, like I said, grow out this Ork army by just buying Orks that look really cool on 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 and just bashing them all together to make this really hodgepodge Ork army that I think would look really cool, because to me, these Orks are just all together because they just like Crumpin and like Gork and Mork, and they just want to go spread battle in the galaxy of the 41st millennium. So I have some plans to buy some more and continue to grow out this Ork army, because I see no reason why not to just grow out this Ork army, because I should definitely have a Space Marine, a Necron army, and an Ork army all together at once. Why not? At least it gives me variety in 40k to play with. And of course, these are 3D printed custom models, so I will not be able to really use them in big tournaments, but honestly, taking them to my local gaming store and having some fun with them is what I really want to do. Not really in the market to play like competitive 40k. And let me know any other thoughts on the paint scheme, any other 3D printed armies I should check out, because I am honestly thinking about growing out my 40k armies by really looking into the 3D printing scheme area, really looking at how I can cheaply make the armies I don't currently collect. Honestly, I think that's a good thing if you really take just a deep dive into the cost efficiency of buying STL files rather than buying from Games Workshop. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to be really diving into the 3D printed world. Even though I currently do not own a resin 3D printer, I still will freelance all my resin 3D printing needs to a couple of printers. Again, one of those being linked down in the description below. And with that, would you kindly hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you can notify my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time on Mama Dragon's Miniatures.